What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for January 14th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is a Tuesday. That means it's time for a little bit of positivity / motivation. And today's quote comes from Jesse Jackson, and it's never look down on someone unless you're helping them up. And I feel this one is pretty self-explanatory. But I feel so many times we look down on people based on their job, their lot in life, whatever it could be. And you never know who you're judging. And you don't know their story. We talk a lot on Tuesdays about not knowing what's going on in someone's head when you're speaking with them, or in this case, judging them, whatever it could be. And as we go into 2025, we talked last week just about becoming better in 2025, and I wanted to continue that today. So it doesn't cost anything to treat people well and with respect. So don't look down on people and don't judge them. Help them up. If you're doing well, somebody else is struggling, reach out, see how you can help them, because you never know when the roles will be reversed and you'll be in that same situation and be appreciative of someone helping you out. So in 2025, let's all be better. Let's treat people with respect. Let's treat people well, and let's kind of just change this. We've been doing the forgiveness for 2025. I think this ties right into it, though. It's not necessarily a New Year's resolution. Just strive to be a better person. Strive to treat people with respect. Try to treat people nicely. I mean, it's simple. It goes back to when you were a kid in kindergarten. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Just be nice to people. So never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. Hopefully you can take this into your weeks. Hopefully this will be kind of a mantra now for 2025, but just be better and treat people with respect. And that is today's Tuesday motivation / positivity. All right, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, Jimbo_Mont. Slowly creeping those subscriptions up, so let's keep up the momentum that we have. And if I've been mentioning it, but the KYW feature is up on their website, on the Odyssey.com. And I think you just search for KYW, or if you just do a Google search for KYW, the audio's there. Dave wrote a very nice article kind of highlighting our journey over the past almost 25 years as season ticket holders. It's pretty cool, so be sure to go check that out, and I'm super, super appreciative of that. And if you are a new listener due to the KYW article, welcome. Leave a comment and let me know that you found us through the KYW thing. And then be sure to check out my boys at the On Pattison newsletter. We're featured in there once or twice a week as well for This Day in Philly Sports History. Good things happening over there. Some pretty good coverage on the Philly teams, coverage and takes, and that gets delivered right to your email inbox. So go check them out. All right. Flyers played a game last night in South Philly against the defending champions. Got down early 2-0, but battled back. Noah Cates had 2 goals, including the game winner with late in the third period. They overcame that 2-0 deficit to score their own Little League period, scoring 3 periods in the third period to take down the defending champs. Lots of energy in the building. Got off to kind of a slow start, but the energy was, you could see it, you could feel it in the building. Sam Ersson has been playing well since he came back from injury. Maybe, just maybe, this is the time that they go on a nice little run here and turn it around. They're in Columbus tonight, but good win for the Flyers. Noah Cates had 2 goals, including the game winner in the third, as the Flyers overcome a 2-0 deficit to beat the defending champ Florida Panthers 4-3 down at the Wells Fargo Center. Now to the other end of the coin, Sixers are in action tonight against the Thunder. I believe that game is also at the Wells Fargo Center. No Joe. He's still out with that sprained foot. And I feel as though this team is sort of teetering on the brink now of going back into irrelevancy. And again, I take full responsibility for jumping on the bandwagon a couple weeks ago. And ever since then, it's been all downhill. But the big news was the arena, and this story is bizarre. So all of that drama, whatever you want to call it, going to get this downtown arena on Market Street built went for nothing. And apparently, after it was approved by City Council is when the Sixers and Comcast got into negotiations to have the team stay in South Philly. It's so bizarre because they were so nasty to each other throughout this whole situation, and now they're BFFs, and they're going to build a new stadium opening in 2031. The Wells Fargo Center will be demolished. I'm sure there's going to be some type of shopping or restaurants or whatever. It's going to end up being built down there anyway. I've heard some rumblings about that. I saw that they might want to try to somehow connect it to FDR Park as well as the Navy Yard, which is right there. But some of the key things that stuck out to me was that Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, was involved in this. It is a unique experience having all four teams play down there in the same area. But I really do like this part of it, is that it seems like there's going to be a huge push to get a WNBA team in Philly, which I really feel would be a huge thing. I think there is enough of a market here for it, and I would love to see a WNBA team come here. But interestingly enough, the Sixers somehow are still going to be involved in the revitalization of the Market East area there, which I guess is, I don't know what that means. There's not really a bunch of details there, but I do think it's good for the labor unions because apparently now they're going to be able to work on the new arena as well as the revitalization project down on Market East. But like I said, I'm sure there's going to be more coming out today. The whole situation is just bizarre because of the whole push. I don't know if this was the ultimate game of chicken, as I saw somebody put it, but it's just as nasty as they were to each other and as hard as the Sixers push, the fact there was protests, all kinds of craziness going on at City Hall, excuse me, to have them kind of back out and redo the whole thing. Obviously, I'm sure it has something to do with money, but it's just a ridiculously bizarre situation here. But Sixers aren't going anywhere. They are staying in the South Philadelphia region and the South Philadelphia area there. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm very intrigued by this because I want to see really what the actual story is, because something is just not right there. It's just, like I said, it makes no sense to me, especially how bizarre they or nasty they were to each other. So we'll see, and we'll keep an eye on that as the story develops. Check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, though, doing great things with their fan network. That is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat, gear up for the divisional playoffs. They got you covered, whether it's hats, shoes, hoodies, T-shirts, pants, you name it. Philly Goat's got it. So go to Philly Goat, do some shopping today. They even got coffee. I haven't tried the coffee yet. I'm debating which. I might just get both, but there's a couple flavors over there. So go check out Philly Goat. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery, and be sure to use the promo code to take 10% off of your order. All right, let's get into the Eagles now, and we'll start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who was the GOAT of the game? 54% of you said it was Nolan Smith. Had a couple votes for Saquon, couple votes for Reed Blankenship, but it was all about Nolan Smith as he just balled out against the Packers on Sunday. Some quick last little things as I was able to watch some highlights and rewatch some of the game. Unfortunately, Nakobe Dean is out for the season with a torn patella tendon, and it's a shame because he had played so well for the Eagles. He was their defensive play caller, so that it's definitely going to be a huge loss. They're going to rely on Oren Burke and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. likely to kind of fill that role. Probably Zach Bond will be the defensive play caller. But a big loss for the Eagles there as Burke and Trotter just they're not starters. I mean, and I heard a couple people say this on the radio yesterday. They're reserves for a reason. They can come in and give you some time, but extend it in long term, they're not going to be as good as Nakobe Dean. So it's a huge loss for the defense, but hopefully they can step up. This team has had the next man up mentality all year, pretty much all through the Nick Sirianni tenure. So hopefully that will be the case here. But that game, looking back at it, very, very physical. And on some of this stuff you don't see sitting up in the stands, but the physicality in this game was just off the charts. And it started right from the very beginning. That hit on that opening kickoff was just outstanding. Goddard's stiff arm, that was a grown man stiff arm. Watch the replay, and from the stands, you saw the one stiff arm, but it looked more like broken tackles. But man, he hit him 3 times, and he was just not going to be denied into the end zone. Just outstanding, and like I said, physical, and that's something they pride themselves on. This team is being the most physical team, so they're certainly going to need that this week against the Rams. Another interesting thing is everybody was talking about Jalen struggling and how he was rusty and this and that. I saw a couple different people post this, and as I was watching some of the game highlights and everything on my own, I don't know if it was Jalen not being sharp as much as the Packers didn't. They did a good job blanketing our receivers. There were not a ton of receivers open, and the A.J. Brown thing with the knee, I don't know if that's something to be a cause for concern going forward, but there wasn't a lot of folks that were open, and we'll see what happens with that. But that was my takeaway. I mean, sure, there could have been times where Jalen maybe missed somebody, but usually sitting up in the stands, you're able to see like, okay, this guy has this guy beat deep, and you can kind of see the plays developing. And as I'm thinking back then and confirmed it on the replays, not a lot of guys were getting very open. So I don't know. I think you got to credit, it's the playoffs. You got to credit the Packers for having a good game plan for the Eagles receivers. But overall, it was a business-like win. It was almost like they came in there, they knew what the job was. They did the job. They won. They move on. I do expect a better offensive output this week against the Rams, who beat the Vikings. I fell asleep, but at halftime they were up big. But going to be a tough test. The early line, the Eagles are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 43.5. And the Eagles, I'll be honest, a lot of people are like, don't be nervous about this game. I'm kind of nervous about this game because of the fact the Rams do have the pedigree. They know how to win. They have won a championship. Matthew Stafford is a solid quarterback. I almost would have rathered Sam Darnold come in and Sam Darnold the place up. I still think the Eagles can win this game. We'll have more on the Eagles-Rams playoff history. They're 1-2 all time, but all of these games have been fairly close throughout the history of the Eagles and Rams, 2 of the OG teams from the NFL. But we'll have more as I woke up to the news, so I'm not necessarily prepared to go into a breakdown yet. But Eagles-Rams, Sunday at 3 at the Link. Eagles open up as 6-point favorites for that game. But that does lead me to today's question of the day. First reaction, what is your confidence level of this game on Sunday? And we're just going to go simple, high, medium, or low. 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest. Currently, right now, just waking up today to find out that news. I'm at more of a medium. I'm cautiously optimistic. I haven't really had time to really look at the replays of yesterday's game to see totally how they did it, but I'm about a medium right now. So let me know your confidence level going into this game early in the week. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. I don't know if you saw this or not, but some scumbag Eagles fan was giving a Packers fan the business, which ordinarily I'm fine with. Like, we were going back and forth with Packers fans on Sunday too, but this dude went way over the line, calling this poor girl names that you shouldn't be calling people, especially when it had nothing to do with anything but the fact she was wearing a Packers jersey. Looks like they caught him. They've called him out from where he worked and everything. So hopefully that company does the right thing, because to me, there's no place for that. I'm all about banter back and forth. We were messing with them. I kept saying, see you later. But you shake their hands on the way out. Like, there's no need and there's no call for that. And I'm glad that Eagles Twitter was able to track this dude down, because it's just a scumbag. And I fight all the time about the poor reception and poor look for Eagles fans, and we're not all like that, and it's exhausting. And then every now and then you have one scumbag who's going to ruin it, and that's all anybody's going to see. Nobody's going to talk about the fact that we were having some fun back and forth on Sunday with some of the Packers fans. It's just unnecessary and uncalled for, and I hope this dude gets what's coming to him, because it's just, there's no place for that. It's just ridiculous. So I'm glad they found him. I hope he gets what's coming to him. And then the other big story was A.J. Brown reading on the sideline, reading Inner Excellence. And you could tell that this book was worn. He said it's not that big of a deal. He reads it all the time. And listen, it wasn't a good look, but he came out in front of it and said, I do it all the time. All the players know about it. And listen, if this is what he needs during a game to keep his head right and keep him in the game and motivated, I could care less. Like, it really, really doesn't matter. Read. And you could see from the book he had parts highlighted so he knows what he's going to. I don't have a problem with it. It could have been a bigger story, but hey, if that's what he takes, and shout out to Eagles fans who it's now the #1 selling book on Amazon, Inner Excellence. I might have to check it out myself. Might be some good ideas for a Tuesday motivation positivity. But I just thought that was an interesting story. And then the Cowboys cowboyed. Jerry Jones did not fire Mike McCarthy. He just didn't renew his contract. So the Cowboys are looking for a coach, and obviously Kellen Moore's name is going to come up that's where he got his start. So it's something worth monitoring. Troy Aikman even said that last night. He mentioned Kellen Moore would be a good choice. So we'll see what it is. But to have Troy Aikman, who is one of the all-time great Cowboys and probably Mr. Cowboy, basically flat out said, I don't know if this is one of the most desirable jobs in the NFL. They're a mess. So I don't think it matters who they bring in. That team's a mess. But I thought that was interesting. He didn't necessarily fire him. He just didn't renew his contract. It's all about the semantics with Jerry. All right, today we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, Paul Coffey returned to the lineup for the Flyers after missing 5 games with a concussion, and his impact was felt immediately. He scored the game winner with 45 seconds left. He also added an assist in the Flyers' 3-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Ron Hextall saved 16 shots to get his 200th win as a Flyers goalie. He is the all-time leader in wins for the Flyers. He did surpass Bernie Parent at one point. And also another milestone on this day, head coach Terry Murray got his 100th win as Flyers head coach. You might remember the 96-97 year was the year the Flyers with the Legion of Doom dominated, going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals before getting swept out by the Detroit Red Wings. But on this day, it was Paul Coffey returning to the lineup, having a goal and an assist, including the game winner, as the Flyers beat the Canadiens 3-2 down at the or I guess at the time it was the Coors State Center. But that happened on this day in 1997. All right, and then finally today, our forgiveness. Eagles-Rams week, so we're going to have some tough ones here. And today, we're going to switch to baseball. We're going to forgive J.D. Drew. You might remember he was the #2 overall pick. I believe it was the 97 draft or 98 draft. And Scott Boras was his agent. He said he would not sign for anything less than a $10 million signing bonus, which was an absurd amount. I think the top signing bonus at the time was like $2 million. He did have Mickey Mantle comparisons, but the Phils did draft him. To their credit, they couldn't pass it up, despite the fact that there was no way they were going to give him $10 million. They did offer him 2.6, which would have been the biggest signing bonus at the time. But J.D. Drew said, nope, I'm going to sit out, played in the independent league, returned to the draft the next year before going to the Cardinals. But Philly fans, not our finest moment. Every time he came to town, they booed him. One, because they felt slighted that he didn't want to play for our team. So unfortunately, in those boos, they did throw batteries. Again, not our finest moment. We got to be better than that, Philly fans. But this is kind of more of that old school Philly mindset. Truthfully, if we're being honest, I don't necessarily blame J.D. Drew for not wanting to play with the Phillies. They were terrible back then. They weren't spending money. Back then, it was the whole, we're a small market team, despite being from Philly, which I believe was the 5th biggest market at the time. But either way, we shouldn't have thrown batteries at him. Yes, he was a jerk. Yes, he spurned us. Yes, he said, I don't want to play for Philly. But no excuse to throw batteries. But yes, he was a jerk. Did have a solid career, made an All-Star game, won a World Series, but never lived up to the Mickey Mantle expectations. So on this day, what we're going to do in order to bring good karma and good vibes to all of our teams, the Eagles play this weekend. The Sixers need all the positive vibes they can get. Hopefully the Flyers can continue this momentum. And of course, the Phillies, who looks like they're going to run it back. We're going to forgive J.D. Drew for being a jerk and saying, I don't want to play in Philly. So, J.D., I forgive you. I probably wouldn't have wanted to play for the Phillies at the time either. Although I'd be willing to bet if they gave him the $10 million, he would have been going and ringing the Liberty Bell and all kinds of eating cheesesteaks every day. So, money talks. But we're going to forgive J.D. Drew today for spurning the Phillies, returning to the draft. I guess karma came back to get him as he never fully lived up to those expectations. He was solid, but not Mickey Mantle type comparisons. So J.D. Drew, today we forgive you. On this day in 1997, Flyers beat the Canadiens 3-2. Paul Coffey with a goal and an assist in his return to the lineup, including the game winner with 45 seconds left. Be sure to let me know your answer to the question of the day early on here on a Tuesday. What is your confidence level going into Sunday's game against the Rams? High, medium, or low? I'm going medium right now. Haven't had time to really think about it. I feel like that's a safe way to go. But get that, anything else Philly sports related off your chest, 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. And of course, as the week goes on, we will have more on the Eagles-Rams, including their playoff history. They've met 3 times throughout the course of both teams' histories in the postseason. We'll update you on the Flyers or the Sixers tomorrow, as well as what else comes out of this arena deal. But man, it's just a bizarre, weird Sixers, of course. Like we talk all the time about the Cowboys being a dumpster fire. Our 76ers are a dumpster fire. I'm willing to admit that. I have no issues admitting that. So we'll have more on all of this tomorrow on the episode. Remember, never look down on somebody unless you're helping them up. Let's be better in 2025. Treat people with respect and bring all of those good vibes and good karma that come with that. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for January 14th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.